With it or quit it. With it, quit it.
What?
With it.
We about to turn up in this bitch.
All right, what am I winning or quitting today?
The Antonio Brown saga continues as Raiders star receiver filed a second grievance with the NFL to wear his special helmet. Out diving OBJ yet again this offseason. A little of these off the field antics are reminding a lot of people of a loud, talented Hall of Fame wide receiver who has been on this show. Joy, Antonio Brown is the new Terrell Owens. With it or quit it?
Quit it. One, it's a little disrespectful to T.O. to compare him to Antonio Brown. Now, stick with me for a second, because it's not being disrespectful to Antonio Brown either, who I am a big fan of, who I hope has a great year and great years to come. But at this particular point in his career, Antonio Brown is not T.O. Now, we can look at the stats, all right, but T.O. played 15 seasons and AB has played 9 seasons. All right, I'm not going to run down a million different numbers, but T.O. obviously has more. Now, he's played more seasons, so that's a given. But Antonio Brown is not a Hall of Famer at this point in his career. If he retires tomorrow, like he said he might if he didn't get his helmet situation sorted out, he's not in the Hall of Fame.
No.
He's an all-time great player who had the potential to be a Hall of Famer, but at this point is not a Hall of Famer. And at this point is now on a mediocre at best team that is rebuilding with a head coach that, while ridiculously entertaining, not a lot of people have a lot of confidence in being able to rebuild the situation.
Nor should they. He's
with a less talented quarterback in Derek Carr.
Yeah.
And Antonio Brown is by far the best player on this team. And like they're the top center in the league. Okay.
Yeah, no.
You're going from a situation with the Steelers to a situation with the Raiders. Nobody feels like this is an upgrade of a situation in any position and any coaching, executives, like nothing. No part of it is an upgrade except for the fact that you're going to Vegas, which
they have a good
training camp in Napa.
Another perk.
Okay, yes. They have a good wide receiver.
St. Vincent College is a wonderful place.
Shouts out to St. Vincent College.
Not Napa.
I'll take your word for it.
They have a good running back, a top 10 pick at running back that could change the league in a way that we've seen top 10 running backs change. So there's some promise there.
Look, the comparisons are coming because he's a quote unquote distraction, right? Yes. Like the helmet thing has gotten completely out of control. Now, they've said that he's found a helmet, as we mentioned with Will Blackman, like they have a helmet, right?
Yes.
Like he has a certified helmet.
Which is so weird to say. He has a helmet, guys. Antonio Brown has found a helmet to play with.
Are his feet fixed? Because his very much self-inflicted injury of getting his feet frostbitten in a cryotherapy machine it has not been resolved yet. Drew Rosenhaus was on the herd the other day and said that he'll be ready by week 1, but that's his agent. Like, do we really know? No. We don't know. And the helmet thing is only solved temporarily. Next year, they're going to either go through this all over again or he's not going to play all over again because it's still phased out.
The superstition, he'll start to get his new juju with this new helmet. That's not going to it's not going to bubble over into next year. This is silliness that is going to be all things heal with time. And this helmet thing and Antonio Brown being a disruptive Raiders fan is going to heal with times too because he's going to start winning games.
I don't know.
Not
to
really.
Me, T.O. was obviously, I mean, the incidents that he had away from the field, celebrating on the star logo, it's my quarterback. Working out in the driveway, pulling the Sharpie out of his sock. Like he had all very similar incidents to Antonio Brown. I feel like Antonio Brown's probably the modernized version of it, going on Facebook Live and, Twitter and all these other things. Yes. But I think the biggest thing to me that separates T.O. from Antonio Brown is that T.O.'s career is unquestioned in just his absolute dominance. Some people don't even think that Antonio Brown is the top receiver in the league right now.
That's a result of the talent that he around, but he's definitely everyone's top 3. I don't think that's debatable.
And top 3 for sure, but it's not like without question that you could put DeAndre Hopkins in that conversation. You could put Odell in that conversation. You could put Julio Jones in that conversation. You can.
That's about it. That's about deep as that well goes.
And the Raiders are not, and the whole conversation about Antonio Brown being a distraction, the Raiders are not a Super Bowl level team. And that's the biggest separation to me in their careers. Like, T.O. and the Eagles losing that Super Bowl, you're in the Super Bowl. The Raiders might not win 6 games this year. So the idea that Antonio Brown is the source of a distraction or the issues for the Raiders is silly. Like, yes, we're having all these conversations about Antonio Brown, but if Antonio Brown is at 100% and he's out on the field, he's going to be the best player on that team, and they're still not going to make a Super Bowl.
But they could make it to the playoffs, which is what Terrell Owens
they
did
could
over
not.
and over.
No, they are not going to make the playoffs.
They can make the
on
Raiders.
What planet? Did they move divisions?
The NFL this upcoming season.
No.
Yes, this is.
What are you talking about? The Raiders are not making the playoffs.
The Titans made the playoffs. The Jaguars made the playoffs.
Why?
I'm sure the Bills are knocking on the doors of the playoffs.
In.
I'm telling you that it's a possibility, and that I think the comparisons with Terrell Owens and Antonio Brown have more weight than not and more validity than not, because Antonio Brown is on a Hall of Fame run tear in the NFL like T.O. was. The thing about it is Antonio Brown had one quarterback this entire time who is arguably a Hall of Fame quarterback anyways, or going into the Hall of Fame. So yes, Antonio Brown with Derek Carr, we don't know the success of that, but comparing him to T.O. is 9 years in is a reasonable comparison. A lot of people argue T.O. at 9 years in was not going to the Hall of Fame because of his antics.
But T.O. didn't finish his career that way. So we're comparing someone who has had a Hall of Fame career and it's legitimized by him being in the Hall of Fame, even if there was some
first ballot, whatever.
Some things going on with that.
Right.
I think Antonio Brown obviously has the potential to be a Hall of Famer, but we don't know what's going to happen with the Raiders other than they're not going to make the playoffs this year because their division is probably the hardest in all of football. And if they don't go on a stretch where they develop into a playoff team, what is the rest of his career going to look like? So T.O., while all the talk about him being a distraction and him being a problem and all that, he was on a Super Bowl level team because they made it to the Super Bowl. The Raiders are not a Super Bowl level team, and they may never be. Guess what? They have to move next year. That's a very difficult thing for a team to do.
Particularly without Jeff Fisher to lead you on that move.
I mean, you can knock Jeff Fisher if you want to, but like, dude knows how to move a team.
Listen, Drew Rosenhaus picks similar people and similar talents.
I mean,
and
he
similar,
was the agent of both of them.
And
he said himself that they are not the same kind of player.
He has a type of player that he goes afterwards.
I just think Antonio Brown has a lot to prove, but I also think that
T.O. didn't. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Because he always had to prove that he was one of the best. As you're saying, he's one of the best year in, year out, and everyone was saying he's a bad teammate, and every year in, year out, he had to prove it on the field. I don't like Antonio Brown's character and the personality that he's become off the field, but you can't argue the fact that he's from the MAC and has earned every dollar he's coming his way.
Oh, no.
He's just a diva that the Steelers created.
Yes, and he's a 6th-round draft pick. Yes, he absolutely has proven himself up until this point. I just don't know what the rest of his career is going to be. And I think that T.O., in my mind, is on another level because he is in the Hall of Fame. Like if Antonio Brown stopped playing right now, he's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know what the rest of Antonio Brown's career is going to be, and that's not necessarily Antonio Brown's fault.
Yeah.
So antics and stuff, like you can compare the two, fine. But for all the talk about T.O. being a distraction, Hall of Fame level receiver, put up Hall of Fame numbers, and they were in the Super Bowl. Antonio Brown did not have the success that they needed to have with the Steelers, and he may not have it with the Raiders. Like, the Raiders are not in a position of trending up.
I mean, yeah, no one can debate you with that.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Okay, we're at the midway point of the NFL preseason, so real football is right around the corner. Before we get to football, let's talk about interesting football. We have the Browns, the Raiders, the Packers, the Giants, the Cowboys. Joy, no wit it or quit it. Who are the top 5 most interesting teams in America?
Well, first I'm going to go with the Browns.
Ooh.
Obviously, they are all noise all the time, which we love. We love noise in this business.
Sure do.
And I think that they're actually going to be competitive this year. I don't think they're a Super Bowl level team. What I think it's going to come down to is, do they make or miss the playoffs? Because if they miss the playoffs, and I don't want to be dramatic.
Yeah, I was talking about this today on the herd.
But it will be the apocalypse.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, it will.
Yes, no. How?
Yes, it will.
How?
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. And the next is the Cowboys.
Wait a minute. How? Wait a minute. I know.
How will be the apocalypse? Baker, Odell.
It's Cleveland.
Kareem Hunt.
There's enough excuses for why they
Jarvis Landry.
There's enough excuses why they should make the playoffs as there are excuses and variables why they shouldn't.
No. You can't put together a squad like that, have the noise and drama and expectations that they do. Embrace the noise. It's not like they're out there like, no, we just want to build a culture. We're just going to be humble, and we don't know what we're going to be this year. We're just going to work hard, try
trying
hard.
to win today.
We're going to
Every
try
day.
hard.
Every day.
Just
They're happy to see a
hour.
Tuesday.
Win the day. That's not what's happening. So
Okay.
yes, if they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be a problem. People are going to come for their head, from the neck up. He's going to be available. The Cowboys are always interesting, obviously,
Yes.
but they've got a complete disaster pie on their hands, which they're trying to sort out, which we'll get to in a minute. But for me, I just think what happens with Dak and Zeke this year and Amari is important, because teams don't have huge windows, unless you're the Patriots, to win Super Bowls, to have guys in place. I mean, look at the Rams. Like, the Rams got the Super Bowl. They may not make it back to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. Like, Dan Marino is proof of that every single time. Like, just you have the moments you have to take advantage of them. Now, I think that they will be back, but who knows? There's so many moving parts. There's injuries. Like, you never know what's going to happen. So I think that the Cowboys are in a Super Bowl level position, and I hope they take advantage of it, and that will be interesting to watch.
Right.
The Packers are super underrated this year. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have an MVP season. I just call it. I think he's going to win the MVP.
Aaron Rodgers is going to win the MVP.
I think so, yeah.
And you're saying that because he's been doubted?
Yeah, and I think he's going to play. He's gonna have an amazing season. I think he's gonna be the MVP this year. So watching them is gonna be great. The Jets,
0 weapons.
Le'Veon Bell, Sam Darnold, Adam Gase is for whatever reason always finds a way to make things interesting.
Yes.
I don't know if the camp beard is gonna stay. Is he gonna stay? Is he gonna go? Does he still have the camp beard?
Still got those crazy eyes.
I mean, yeah, Sam Darnold looks like Chucky Doll, quite literally. But the Jets are interesting.
They're the future of that division. So I think in 3 years they are.
I like that. I like that.
2 years from this year, so 3 years. Yeah, they are going to be Super Bowl level.
Oh, I mean, now they have the weapons and the personnel and the roster and all the pieces that you look at them and like, ooh.
Plus, Le'Veon is going to go off.
Yes, exactly.
Finally, the Dolphins.
Joy.
I mean,
top 5.
What can I say?
We should have started from the bottom and went up.
We're friends with someone who's friends with our coach now, so
right,
that's good.
Yeah. Will's friends with Brian Flores.
Yeah, sure.
I live there.
The Dolphins. Joy, how are the Dolphins in the top 5 most interesting team in the NFL?
Fitzmagic.
So he's interesting for 3 weeks during the season.
That color scheme, though, that color scheme's nice. That's very interesting.
Super Bowl's in Miami, so we're going to be talking about Miami literally all year. Miami will be mentioned at least once in every broadcast.
Manning?
Is
that what you said?
Miami.
Every broadcast.
I know I'm holding my hands like this. Josh Rosen.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Kenny Stills.
Joy, okay, now we are reaching. Kenny
Stills all over the news right now.
I understand. He's also always in the social media streets, but we're talking about football games.
No, we're not. What do you mean? What do you mean? The Browns.
Interesting.
The Browns have 90% of the stuff we talk about the Browns has nothing to do with on the field. That's what interesting means. It's a combination of competitiveness and off the field stuff.
Okay, if you're going to do that, then let's talk about the owners.
Dolphins still qualify.
Let's talk about the owners. Let's talk about the crazy coaches y'all let coach in there and do whatever they want to do off the desk. Let's talk about all the. Okay.
So
Miami should be in the top 5.
You talk
top
yourself
10.
into it.
Top 10.
I say top 5.
Okay. That's it. I mean, you want me to tell you my top 5?
Yeah,
no, we don't
spend
time to
go through it.
I'm
sure we have most of the same.
No, you have 3 teams in here that should not be in the top. Okay, I will go Cowboys, Browns, Raiders will stay interesting.
I just don't think they're going to be good enough.
The Raiders will stay interesting. With the Jets on here.
Jets
Ravens.
Okay.
And the Giants.
I would definitely no Ravens, and my pushback with the I don't know why I'm so down on them. I think it's just like your overconfidence in the Ravens has made me. I'm not
even confident. Like, I'm just a fan,
on the Ravens,
and I'm just
like
peeping
Lamar
game.
Jackson.
I'm peeping game.
I just don't. The Raiders are obviously going to be interesting. They're my top 10. I just don't think they're going to be good enough.
Right.
And then eventually, when you don't win enough games, we stop talking about you, no matter who's on the team.
Shouts out to the Jets.
And the Giants, though, kind of fly in the face of that, because I do think the Giants are going to be the worst team in the NFL, and I do think Daniel Jones will be starting by week 5.
I love that take. I hope to.
Thank you.
the sports gods that we see Daniel Jones start over Eli Manning this year. Take that, Archie.
Well, I mean,
they didn't want that to happen. They didn't have him drafted so he could start now.
No, he should be starting next year, but I think it's going to be so bad, and I think the fans are going to be freaking out so much that it may. That's what I think. That's what's going to end up happening.